One of the biggest things that's overlooked when new students come in to build a website is to overlook what we call the user experience, okay? Now, when we're designing a website, the worst thing a student can do is sit down, open up an editor, and just start typing, right? At that point, they're kind of designing the site. They really don't even know half the time what the content is going to be on the site. But without question, it's one of the worst things you could do. And you'll typically end up spending a lot more time designing that way, as well as getting the worst possible design and website you possibly can get. So as we move forward, just remember that you probably shouldn't just start typing and coding a website from scratch. Now I've got on here 4 different areas: research, analysis, design, and user testing. And this is just crucial to developing an effective site for your clients. Okay, so in research, we probably just shouldn't start typing out our website, right? We need to first sit down with stakeholders, and that means sit down with the business owner, those that work with online sales, those that are stakeholders and will work with you in building the site. Next, you'd want to do a competitive analysis, and that's where you would go look at your competitors and see what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, and how you can do it better, and start researching that out. You want to start doing some marketing research and user interviews, as well as user observation. At this point, you really need to be identifying who these people are. You need to determine, their age ranges. You need to determine where they live, how much money they make, their gender, what they do for a living, all kinds of different things that you can use to help figure out a little bit more about these people. Because when you're building a website, let's say we're building one for this daydesigner.com, you can see here clearly the female demographics outweigh the male by far, right? And that's going to change how we type. What kind of content we put on the page, what imagery we're going to use, what colors we use. If you can see here, the majority have some college or college for sure. That's going to change a lot as well. Where are they browsing from? Well, they're browsing from work, which is kind of important. They tend to be younger. 18 up to 34, so that's going to change a lot of the design as well. Income, ethnicity, if they have children, things like that. You have to think about all of these as you're trying to put together your site. So we're going to start interviewing these people, figuring out who they are, observing them, stuff like that. Then we want to identify user goals. We want to identify what are they trying to do, because we want to make it as easy as possible to accomplish whatever goals they're setting out to accomplish. Then we look at any additional brand needs and things that they need, and we move on to analysis. Here we just develop out user personas. A user persona might look something like this. We've got a girl here. This is her age range, different things, and this is more demographics than a user persona, but this is just a way to describe who these people are, so we can understand a little bit better. But a user persona would be, putting out somebody's name. We've got Joe Schmo, and he's 25, and he likes sports, different things like that. And then you want to develop out user stories. And so what this might look like, so-and-so comes to a website, they click on the home page for a pair of shoes, takes them to a shopping cart, they check out, and blah, blah, blah. You kind of describe how that process is going to look. It's a lot easier to describe that process of what they're doing in words than it is to develop the whole site out and then realize you may have forgot something crucial, if that makes sense. You then want to translate what goals you have into tasks. You want to make it, again, so it's so easy for these people to accomplish these tasks and how they're going to go about doing that. And translate those tasks into functions. Then we start hitting the design section of things. We're going to talk some more about sitemaps in a future video, and some sketching and wireframing and prototypes and the visual design, but just kind of know that this is the actual designing of the site now. And then last but not least, usability, evaluation, and testing. At this point, we have our site launched, and we want to run people through it and see what problems come up and fix those things. And again, we call this a user experience process. Really helps smooth things out. But if you notice, the amount of actual building through prototyping the website is very small in this grand scheme of things. So it's important you nail it right the first time.